Hi, friends. Welcome to Lotus and the Light. Speaking of light, let's turn some on. My name's Jennifer, and if you have found this message, then I believe that you and I in spirit are supposed to connect together and share some learning together, share some love and some light together. So thank you for being willing to connect with me, and let's just take a minute to open to spirit. This. Okay, let's just take a second to set the intention to open that channel for that three-way connection. Ready? Let's take a deep breath together. Thank you, Spirit, for connecting me with these folks with me, and opening up space for all of us to work together. Thank you for YouTube as a channel and an invention. And we are just thankful for the message that you're going to share today, that you're going to give confirmation into the hearts of the individuals, because we've opened up that flow of energy, and then confirming that message you're giving to them through the words that are coming out of my mouth, that we trust and believe are inspired by you. Thank you. Amen. Okay, let's do it. Let's create. Let's create something beautiful. What have you created today to bring yourself joy? That's the question. Um, that I will start the session with and leave you with. I feel called to talk about expansion and what that means for our desires as we navigate this life. So, I've talked a lot about joy. In fact, I recently just did a video on joy specifically. Our purpose here in life, I say a lot, is about finding joy. What I really mean is that our purpose here in life is just experience. We are here for nothing more than to experience and expand. Okay. We expand through experience. As we expand, every time I make a choice of anything in life, every time I do something in this life, um, and have an experience, it expands me as a human being, right? I learn from it. Same with you. Every time you make a choice, whether that choice results in something beautiful, joyful, painful, um, whether it's a struggle or whether it's easy, whatever it is, you learn from it. You expand from it as a person. Your mind expands, your heart expands, or if we are in fear of it, maybe our heart contracts. That happens as well, right? We have experiences in life that cause us to lock that heart down. But if we're open and allow it, all of these things will help us to grow and expand. And I would say even the things that might cause us to contract at moments in our life eventually will help us to grow and expand. Um, but in addition to that, these experiences are helping your soul to expand, your higher self. There is not a soul in your body. Your body is in your soul. Your soul is bigger than this. This body is just a vehicle, just a tool for you to navigate this 3D physical experience. Okay. It's nothing more than that. So we can stop being hung up on the size of it, the weight of it, the color of it, stop getting hung up on that. This thing is just a tool. Okay. We are at, we are a soul. And when we expand in our physical experience and have new and differing experiences, our soul expands. And when our soul expands, God expands, because we are extensions of God. We are manifestations, unique manifestations of God, so that God can experience life in many, 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 many different ways. And just to have experiences in many, many, many different ways. And this earth experience is one way that God experiences, existence and life and things. And not only does God experience life through you and through me, but it experiences life through anything of its creation, through the water in this glass, through the deer that I'm looking at in my yard, through the beautiful flowers that I'm looking at on the table on my deck. Sorry, I'm gonna take a drink. and thank this water for nourishing my body. So these are all experiences for God, and we all expand together, and that's what this life is all about. So please don't feel guilty about desiring more than you have today. Okay. I know for me, there's a struggle. Like I remember a specific sermon from one of my great friends who's I know deeply connected to spirit, super wise, super beautiful human being, and one of my most important spiritual mentors that I've had in my life. And I remember him delivering a sermon, and in that sermon, he was talking about living a life that is never satisfied and talking about, sometimes we need to adjust our satisfier is how he talked about it to, adjust the satisfier and find satisfaction in the life that you have today and the blessings and gifts that you have today. There's truth in that. But there's also truth in the journey for more and desiring more, because that's what we were created for. So it's not an either or, as I say all the time. It's rarely an either or. It's usually a spectrum of things, or a both and, or whatever. And I would say this is a spectrum of things and a both and. We both need to be satisfied with what we have today so that we can manifest more. And if we're doing life right, folks, every time we have an experience and we expand and grow, we're learning more about what we like and don't like, what brings us joy, what doesn't bring us joy. And so therefore what we want should be changing. Okay. And I'll give you an example. Think about the things that you wanted as a child, and they brought you such great joy as a child. Like I'm thinking about, think about the child who just wants the colorful plastic beads that are around the doll. That's the necklace that they want to wear, or those beads, as opposed to the real pearls that you have. Which one's truly more valuable? Well, to that child, it's those plastic beads, right? Or really, I remember praying for a 10-speed bike when I was 10. Like, please, God, let me have a 10-speed bike for my birthday. And by the way, and I legitimately prayed this, if it's wrong for me to ask, please disregard this prayer. That's what I said. If it's wrong for me to ask for that and want that, please disregard. I was so afraid of doing the wrong thing and having that desire that I actually said, please disregard this. Well, listen, that was a low vibrational idea. It was the idea that I somehow didn't deserve that bike. Or that it was wrong for me to have that bike. I did get the bike, by the way. I will say that. But it's those lower vibrational energies that will impede us in finding true joy in this life. We have to learn how to accept and find joy even in the material things. If you've come through a Christian belief system like I have, a lot of times we're taught not to find joy or pleasure in the material things. So then what do you do with it when you do have joy and find pleasure? Then you're living in guilt. Less guilt, more appreciation. Okay. Less guilt, more appreciation. Appreciate everything in this life is a creation from the divine source. Everything. Okay. So these things are here for our pleasure, for us to enjoy. And everything is, even, when I say everything is a creation of divine source, and you think, well, God didn't create this glass, man created this glass. Everything comes from a material, from the divine, right? From nature, from the earth. And I would say even every invention is divinely inspired. I mean, look at some of the things that we've created in this life that, people will say that it just popped in my head. Like I just was laying down to go to sleep and this thing popped in my head, and that's divine inspiration. When we're getting ready to fall asleep, or when we first wake up, or even in our dream state, that's when our subconscious is in control, and our conscious mind, our beta brain is resting and relaxing and not filtering everything through judgment and through logic and through, all these things of the intellect that are, your brain is good, but it shouldn't be in control, and it needs to be in balance with the open communication of spirit. And usually our brain shuts that off, right? It clamps that connection. So we've been told a narrative that finding joy in material things is bad. We've been given a narrative that our joy comes in the afterlife, after this earthly experience. We've been given narratives, I mean, all kinds of things that I believe are just false, or not the whole truth. Because, I like to say nothing's entirely true or untrue. Like it's just, it might be true for you where you are now. And when it's no longer beneficial and helping you grow, then it's no longer true for you. And you need to shed those belief systems at that time so that you can continue to grow and flourish and experience and expand, because that's what we're here to do, experience and expand. And so, listen, you can live for 80 years and have 80 years of wonderful experiences and wonderful expansion and growth, or you can live 1 year 80 times and just never change and never be that person and always be satisfied by the same things because someone told you, hey, this is what you asked for and you got it. Be satisfied with it, and you shouldn't want for anything more than that. But you know what? The 10-speed bike isn't enough for me anymore. The plastic beads isn't enough for me anymore. I have grown and I have expanded. And similarly, while there's nothing wrong with enjoying the pleasures of the material world, keeping that in balance with our emotional and spiritual desires is really important. And that's where things get out of whack. So when you think about the chakra system, your root chakra, your sacral chakra, and your solar plexus chakra are the three lower chakras that are tied to our human earthly experience. Okay. When we crimp off the connection of our flow to spirit, spirit is here in our heart chakra, right? We hear, our spiritual ears is our heart. It's our feelings. It's our emotions, energy and motion. This is where we hear God, okay? When we put a wall around this for whatever, because of trauma or whatever, because we've been taught to not feel things, don't cry, buck up and be a man or whatever you're being told. And we build the wall around this, we cut God off. So we can spend as long as we want in prayer. Dear God, blah, 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 and you're praying to somebody out here, but God is right here. So until you are ready to peel back the onion, remove the prison bars, you are going to continue to struggle to hear from God, okay? Once we hear from God here and we open up our third eye and we can see through God's perspective, see through that divine perspective, that changes everything. Then we still have appreciation for and joy for and desires for earthly material things. Absolutely. Because they're wonderful things here, right? Food, I love food, right? But what happens is our priorities shift, and now we also find pleasure in things of the divine. We find pleasure in the peace of knowing. We find pleasure in the harmony and unity of creation instead of the destruction of creation and the separateness of creation. We find joy in moments where we feel connection with God. When I feel spirit connecting to me physically, when I can feel them tingling in my back, and I have these sensations and I know they're with me, that creates such a bliss that it removes my need to, and I'll use food as an example. Food, I've struggled my whole life with food as an addiction. Sometimes I would overcome it. I would find other, for many years, I traded my food addiction for exercising addiction. And then I was super healthy, but I still had an unhealthy addiction. Okay. It became a control mechanism. Like I can control my eating by focusing on exercise. And then I began to really enjoy the exercise because I enjoyed the control that it allowed me to have over my life and over my body. And I wanted it to be about health, but it was about control, is what it was about. But now what I've discovered is, and I am in no way, shape, or form, like if I showed you my gut right now, I am not my ideal weight according to the American Medical Association, okay? But I am the healthiest I have ever been in the balance of my mind, body, and spirit. I now eat what I want, when I want, with no guilt. I'm grateful for the foods and the drinks that I have. I give thanks to them. I don't objectify them. Sorry, feeling thirsty. Um, there's just this greater balance and harmony that allows me to enjoy the healthier foods, enjoy the not great for you foods, but also I don't have the need to feel the dopamine hit from the bad foods, from the comfort foods, because I get my dopamine hit from spirit now in a way that through 25 years of a faith journey, I never once felt in a whole new way. And so that's the difference. It's like I'm finding spiritual ways to get to that joy and even bliss, maybe, that we are designed to experience. So when we're not experiencing them in the spiritual ways, we look for other ways to experience it. And so what in our human experience gets us closest to that? Well, let's think about it. The experience of drugs, the experience of sexual orgasm. So now you can see how we end up with these addictions that we end up with because we're craving the things, the dopamine hit from the food, from the junk food. We're craving the things that give our pleasure centers in our body the experience it was designed to get spiritually. So as we experience life, we learn more about what we like and don't like, want and don't want. We expand, we grow. Some of us experience this faster than others. It doesn't matter. It's not a race. They're unique experiences because God wants to have unique experiences. So let's not judge anyone else's experience. Let's not judge anyone's what they're desiring and where they're finding joy at that moment in their life. None of your business. Butt out. Focus on yourself. And when you do, when you're free to focus on yourself, then you're free to remove that judgment from your life, from judging everyone else. Then you can stop judging yourself. Actually, I think it kind of works in the reverse. When you feel free to stop judging yourself and your own experiences, then you stop judging everyone else. You realize it's not necessary. So don't judge, just follow the joy so that you can have the experiences so that you can expand. So it is important to find satisfaction in the now and give thanks for that. Rejoice. What's the scripture say? Rejoice. Um, rejoice. Why am I drawing a blank? Pray and something else, and I'm like drawing a blank on it. But it's basically it's find the joy in life, stay in communication with God, with spirit, right? That's the prayer. Rejoice. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I guess those are the two that needed to come through because my brain just ain't finding it with the other one. But that's what we're here to do, but we attract what we are. So if you're stuck in an attitude of ingratitude, of ungratefulness, then you're going to keep getting more stuff that makes you feel ungrateful. You attract what you are. So find joy and thanksgiving and gratitude where you are instead of, and it's sometimes just a subtle tweak. It's like, instead of thinking, oh, I barely made my rent last month. How am I going to make my rent this month? It's not looking good. This is happening and this is happening. This is happening to, man, I barely made my rent last month, but I did. Wow. Can we do that again? I feel grateful about that. Thank you, Spirit, for helping me meet the needs. Um, and that'll help you to slowly get out of that survival mode. Work on your root chakra too, if that's your problem. If survival mode is an issue. Okay. Any closing message? Less guilt, more appreciation is what I keep getting. Okay. Let's just close with a card. Um, I'm gonna do a biblical tarot. But then I might also close with a card from the Self-Love Oracle. Feel like that one's been speaking to me today. Okay, Spirit, talk to us about a little bit about where we are. Oh, there it is. In this journey of expansion and freeing ourselves, giving ourselves permission to expand and want more, and finding joy and learning in this expansion. Six of chalices. Okay, I love this. So chalices, six of cups. Cups is about um emotional fulfillment. Okay. And so this is about what we need to learn to continue to grow, expand, and be emotionally fulfilled. And how apropos is it that was using an example about like, what is it that we wanted as a child? And that shouldn't be the same as what we want today. What we believed as a child shouldn't be the same as what we believe today, because we're growing and expanding constantly. It's what we're supposed to do. And here the lesson is Jesus and the children. And number 6, when Jesus saw this, he was indignant. He said to them, "Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these." Gosh, this is so beautiful. Okay. The kingdom belongs to those who want to come to him. Now, let me explain to you what come to him means, because it's going to feel a little different than maybe what you've been taught or heard in the past, because we think of it in terms of living in this narrow way, experiencing things a certain way. Sometimes joy isn't even in that narrative, because we're taught that joy is to be deferred to the afterlife, and that now we need to be suffering like Jesus. And I've done a video on this before as well. That's not it. And that's why he brings the story back to the children, because the children know what it's about. It's about joy. They want to be together. It's about community. It's about, I mean, you see them, you see the light shining on them. They know, they understand, they get it. They haven't been corrupted yet. They haven't been corrupted to pinch off Jesus, to pinch off the flow of the Spirit and listen to the mind. That's where most of us are. We have cut off spirit and we listen to the mind, the monkey mind, okay? And intuition, we are not intuition, but intellect, logic. And so they know, and they are willing to sit and be like sponges and listen and hear and learn and grow. We need to turn on our inner sponge. We need to release and open our heart so that it can be the sponge that it's supposed to be, and be vulnerable and not be afraid of getting hurt, and not be afraid of, like, are you going to get hurt? Yeah, that's what happens in life. But be thankful for those moments and say, "Thank you, Spirit, for showing me uh, why I don't want to do that anymore. That was painful. Thank you for showing me there's a different way, a different path." So I love this. Find your inner child and let that inner child dance and experience, have new experiences, and don't don't be 80 times. Live your 80 years and expand and grow like these kids are doing. They're learning and expanding and growing by listening to Spirit here. Listening to Spirit here. Jesus is here in person for these children to teach them what Christ consciousness is. Okay? It's not to teach them to bow down to him as a person. It's to teach them about the Christ consciousness experience that comes through balance in our chakras. And we'll talk about that more too, because we talked about these lower chakras, which leads into a whole nother conversation about, I'm not even going to go there today. That will take this message and make it even longer. Okay, I'm going to do Self-Love Oracle, just to give us some guidance on what we need to be thinking about to like carry us through. And I see, what are the messages that we're telling ourselves? And I say this because I see two colors that really call out to me here. The yellow, which is our solar plexus chakra of action. So what actions are we taking in life to expand and experience? What are you doing to experience life? Get out there and experience it. And then also this blue, which is our throat chakra. So our throat chakra is about what we voice, what we say, Are we speaking true to ourselves? But also what we hear. It's this whole area here. What are we hearing? And what are we telling ourselves? What are you voicing to yourself? What are you allowing? What narrative are you allowing yourself to listen to when it comes to understanding satisfaction and gratification and desire, and what you might want more of, what you might want less of? When you want more of something and it feels wrong, examine that. Why does that feel wrong? What feels wrong about that? Oh my goodness, I don't even know how to say this word. It's a 33. I like that. So 33. It's like a double so 3 is about like life lessons and learning and teaching, but mostly about learning those life lessons. And two threes, I mean, that's a master number, an angel number. So this is important. But it says Ho'opono, I don't know how to say this. Ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono? Is that a word? Somebody tell me what this says. Um, and it says under it healing. Okay, and there's the yellow. See, the light, the truth is there for us to learn. There's a lot of little writing here. I understand myself more and more. That's all I need, self-clarity, and everything is all glittery and bright. I love that. What's this one say? Um, some have said I am just all butterflies and flowers. Good, I say. They're pretty gentle, kind, cute, lovely, and bring me to joy. There you have it. I love that. Let's read that one. That's what Jesus is all about here, bringing you to joy. What did I say it was? 33? I don't know how to say it, so I'm not going to say it again. Healing and 100% forgiveness. Yes. Don't forgive yourself for anything you've desired that you feel shame about. Even if you were desiring something that maybe wasn't the purest, most loving, most it's like spirit inspired desire. Because that happens, right? Especially when we cut spirit off, we desire things that really aren't for our best good. It happens. We're human. But don't judge yourself for that. That's the vibrational level you were at. That was the frequency you were at. So you were attracting more of what you thought you wanted and needed. Allow yourself that wherever you are. And what will happen is when you stop imprisoning yourself and guilting yourself for those thoughts and desires, that's when you're free to heal. Okay. And that's what this card was talking about, healing, right? Then I'm free to heal and discover that that desire maybe wasn't the best thing for me and there's something better. That's the expansion. So stop judging it. This isn't a courtroom. This is a classroom. We're here to learn and grow. Today, you are being offered the loving healing of the ancient Hawaiian, hup, 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 can't say it, forgiveness practice. You can use this practice to heal any situation. Any situation with the power of self-forgiveness, compassion, and understanding. Remember, you're connected to everything. So by doing this practice, you're offering the healing energy of forgiveness and unified love to all. I am sorry. I dissolve any disempowering subconscious thoughts. I now center myself in my heart to calmly contemplate this situation with my inner wisdom, compassion, and understanding. I have the power to move forward without complaining, blaming, or shaming ever again. That's called finding joy and contentment in the now, finding satisfaction now, right? I have the power to move forward without complaining, blaming, or shaming ever again. As I elevate and widen my perspective, that's expansion, I see everything is an opportunity to learn and love more. I am grateful. You see everything differently when you open that third eye, and then you become even more grateful. And when whatever your energy is, whatever you're feeling, you're going to generate more of. And I do want to make one statement about that. I know that sometimes we think if I feel gratitude and satisfaction in what I have now, then that's all I'll ever get. That's all the blessings I'll ever get. I'll never get anything more. That couldn't be further from the truth. Because every time you learn, oh, I liked that, but I didn't like that, you send uh possibly an unintentional message of desire to the universe. Sometimes you don't even know what's happening, but it's like, oh, I didn't like that, but I love that. You're letting your desires be known, and they're becoming more and more specific and more refined. And sometimes they change, right? Because we have new experiences, but they're becoming more refined all the way. So you're letting spirit know more of this, more of this, more of this, right? So you're not going to be stuck here just because you're grateful for here. Be grateful for it. Okay. Um, Please forgive me. I take a deep breath into my heart and feel my universality. If I said that right, but you know what I'm saying. I let go of all the negative thinking and ego-based fears. I acknowledge I have the power to choose how to protect and project myself. I bless everything with gratitude, and let go of the past. I love you. I love myself with all my heart, and I project my love forward to all. As I open my heart, as I open my heart more, I find the courage to face my life, focus on my strengths and creative destiny. With gratitude, I love who I am, my true self, and my infinite potential. And thank you. I thank myself for releasing all disharmonious energy. I wish no one harm, and I understand that holding on to anger and resentment is poisonous. Without any regrets, I thank myself, others, and this situation for teaching me. My inner wisdom sets me to free to love. I am thankful for the power of my heart and my soul's infinite love. I love it. Infinite love, healing, forgiveness, and opening yourself up to be the sponge, opening your heart to be that sponge like the little children with Jesus. Okay, thanks everybody for joining. I hope this message was beneficial to you. Go out and create some joy in your day today. Love you. Peace out.